Thank you to HUEL for sponsoring this video. More on them in just a bit. Look at you in Coy's chair.
I'm not white.
You killed Coy. Ladies and gentlemen, Coy is out of the country at the moment, and I asked him immediately, who should substitute for you on this episode? Instant answer. Wasn't even a hesitation. I'm feeling Aaron, is what he said.
Yeah.
And I debated him for 45 minutes of why I was like, I don't think so. There's a guy in my neighborhood who might be better.
I get it.
And
He's
said,
too black.
no.
He's too black for this show.
I have a lighter black friend. And,
But light as this paper. Light as this freaking thing over here.
You never know. But no, I mean, it made sense. It was like a perfect film. I was like, yeah, I agree. I was thinking the same thing too. And with what we have to talk about, it just pans out because we decided last week. And then with what we want to talk about today, I'm like, this is destiny. This is prime Aaron stepping in for Coy, because if there's any subject to talk about today that Aaron would be great for, I'm like, this is it right here, the main topic at hand. So please welcome Aaron with open arms and show him your respect in the comments. And lie to him if you don't think he does a good job today.
Lie to me, please.
Well, here are the main things we have on hand today. All right, so some little ones that we want to go into. There's some photos from the Odyssey, which is Christopher Nolan's new movie. Photos of Tom Holland and John Bernthal. I don't know how exciting they are, but I want to see them, and I haven't seen them yet.
Spider-Man and the Punisher?
Oh,
yeah.
Nolan movie? I didn't even do that. Yeah, I was like, oh, but it led me to, because the other, well, we'll go into it. The Superman report about how much is writing on this, more than we even thought. And the main topic at hand is we want to talk about Spider-Man 4. There's a Sadie Sink casting. We don't know who she's playing. There's theories about it. And speaking of theories, put out a community post. This is the first time we're going to do something like this, where we asked the audience, it was just a couple hours ago, so there's not a whole lot of comments, but we asked them, what are your theories for Spider-Man 4? What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? And I feel like that might be the title of our video, like what we do or something along those lines, what we do or don't want from the next Spider-Man movie. And part of that, I feel like we'll talk about our own theories, what we're hoping they don't do, and also part about Tom Holland's career that I do want to touch on, because I'm really fascinated with this trajectory here. So how should we kick this off? John, did you email those photos?
Where them photos be?
People know us for
Indeed,
reactions.
I
We're
did.
reacting
They're at the
here.
top. I put them into two separate emails so that you could get the juicy one first.
All right. What's the juicy one?
Squeeze it out.
It's just the one where you can see them more head on.
Okay. All right. The juicy one. The juicy one. Whoa. What the hell? Wait, no, I'll pass the laptop
Oh my
to you.
God,
This
I'm
is cool.
excited.
Do you have your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, just pull out your phone, because it's been emailed to you.
Let me see.
That's crazy. Has John Bernthal been in a Nolan movie yet?
I don't know.
I love this look on him. He looks barbaric.
Was it just sent over?
Yeah. Oh, you might have just sent it to me. Here, you can see the photo here on the laptop. This is great. I just need things to be good for Aaron's first time on this podcast. I just need things to go well. Can you see
Whoa, bold Bernthal. Bold Bernthal with a beard. He looks great.
Is this an...
Is that Holland next to him?
Yeah, at first I thought that was like a mocap outfit, because I'm so used to seeing him in mocap outfits on behind the scenes stuff. But no, that's his actual like outfit for the Odyssey, the costume.
I love it.
Ooh, that's a cool shot. Let me see this other one that we have here that John sent over. Ah, man, Tom Holland would be a great Link for the Zelda, wouldn't he?
Okay. Well, Link doesn't really talk, so I guess like emoting. Yeah,
But he's got the look. Even in seeing in this time period and stuff, in the fantastical time period, I think he's got the look and all the costumes and stuff. I think it's smart what he's doing, because he obviously has a lot of a strong connection with Robert Downey Jr. And a big part of the MCU was Spider-Man and Iron Man and their connection together. Yeah. And you also know some of the stories about how Robert Downey Jr. looked after Tom Holland. And there's a bit of a mentor in real life type of relationship dynamic between them. And the reason I'm bringing this up, especially now realizing that Robert Downey Jr. was also just in Christopher Nolan's last movie and won an Oscar. And he's also coming back to the MCU, Robert Downey Jr. And Tom Holland hasn't really been able to break out of Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, he's had our time.
He's done other movies that people have been receptive to his performances. I haven't seen Cherry, but a lot of our audience has been really positive on his work in Cherry.
He's phenomenal. I love that. I saw it in the drive-through. Yeah, he's really good in that movie.
And I know he came onto the scene with the Impossible, which I thought he was great in. So, but he hasn't really had like that gangbuster hit. I think they were hoping like Uncharted might be that one, but it really didn't do the pull that they wanted. And from seeing Tom Holland go on the podcast to showing more of like an adult personal side to him, to seeing him working with Christopher Nolan, but to also be smart career-wise to continue with Spider-Man 4 and be a producer on it where he's getting creative input. I think to do both a Christopher Nolan drama epic film and continue on in Spider-Man, I feel like this 1-2 combo can be the catapult for a brand new direction for Tom Holland's career.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like it's interesting. A lot of MCU actors or just superhero actors in general have a hard time breaking out of that mold that's garnered them some success. And only recently has someone like Robert Downey Jr. himself been able to do that with something like Oppenheimer. So the fact that Tom Holland is kind of, in a way, following that trajectory is also interesting. And I hope he's able to find success outside of that because he's really good. I started that one show he was in, I think like The Quiet Room.
Oh, that's right. He did a show. I forgot about that.
Yeah, with Amanda Seyfried. And he was really great in it. I was like, man, this dude, like he's a grown man at this point.
What you just said right there, this kid.
Yeah.
And he's not a kid.
He's like the same age as me down here.
He's not a kid, but he's constantly looked at as a kid, which was great for Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's in his college years now.
I think I saw he's playing like Odysseus' son.
Okay, is he supposed to be a kid?
Maybe like a grown man. I mean, he doesn't look like a kid in those photos. He just looks like a young adult. He just has a youthful face.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's garnered him part of the success by being a high schooler. But hopefully they're able to transition him out of that because he deserves to be something larger than the pigeonhole he's kind of been put in. Yeah. And he's been doing that with his other roles, challenging that perception. Do you know what Cherry's about?
Yeah, I've seen the trailer.
So yeah, like he's a former vet. He becomes a drug addict, and I'm not going to spoil the rest of the movie, but yeah, he's been doing these other roles that's gotten him this perception that's outside of that. But again, it's smaller indie movies. So hopefully the new movie will give him a chance to break out of that even more.
Absolutely.
It is at least believed right now that Holland will be playing Telemachus, who is the son of Odysseus.
Okay.
And he plays a significant role in searching for his missing father.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
And Tom Holland, that character's 45 years old, right?
That's right.
Yeah, he's playing a middle-aged man in this one.
Yeah.
He's actually going to go from a young man to like an old, wizened elder by the end of the movie.
That's Nolan's time thing in this one.
He's going to be telling the story under pounds and pounds of old age makeup.
I mean, what you said about him going into being a man, he is a man, first off, and he's like a successful beer company, if I'm not, non-alcoholic beer or something like that. So
yeah, Bureau, I think.
He's an entrepreneur, and there was a time, you've heard of the actor Thomas Hanks, right?
He sounds familiar. He's
Thompson Hanks, I'm not sure.
He's Woody, right?
He's Woody, yes, in The Lady Killers. So Tom Hanks, at one point, I remember seeing an interview he did on that Inside the Actors Studio, James Lipton. He used to have a very different career before he was the Tom Hanks that we know, where he was doing a lot more like comedy stuff, a lot of work that I'm not familiar with of his past. But he had a point where he's like, he said specifically, I want to play men. I want to be a man. And I do think this could be the next wave for what Tom Holland's going to do. And so I like seeing all facets of his personality right now. And it's getting me more excited for his future to especially go beyond just him being Spider-Man. And if he could be that actor who can do both, continue playing Spider-Man and continue having a big career versus like Tobey Maguire didn't seem like he could get past that. Andrew Garfield did, but he got the boot on Spider-Man. If he could be the first actor to do both coincide, I'd be so happy for him.
I think Garfield's one of the few that broke out of that, who was Spider-Man and was still able to have like a thriving career post Spider-Man. And I guess Tobey did that to some extent, but he's not doing as many movies these days. And then Spider-Man's kind of what brought him back. Then he was in Babylon and I think a couple of other things. But yeah, I agree. I would hope that him playing somebody's son wouldn't keep him within that youthful kid box, and hopefully they give him a chance to evolve into a man within the narrative that they have presented. But I also hope Spider-Man 4 does that. I know we'll get into a little bit more about our opinions about Spider-Man 4 going forward or later on in the conversation, but I hope that Spider-Man gives him an opportunity to change the mold of what we perceive him to be as like the lead within a sidekick within his own movie. I hope he can be that man and have these mature problems within that narrative.
Well, you know what? We'll do the other stuff later. Let's just go into it. I'm like, I want to talk about it. Let's go into it. I'm going to pull up the community post in a bit. Or before we do that, why don't we just talk first?
Yes.
Well, I want to go through what people said in the community post, and if it works out, if you guys like it, we'll do that more often too. Sadie Sink has been cast in it. I love this actress. I think she's amazing. Obviously, everyone knows her from Stranger Things. I thought her work in The Whale was very much overlooked. Did you see that movie?
I did. She's great in it.
I thought she was incredible in that film.
She's the daughter again, right?
Yeah. That
Phenomenal.
final scene of the movie just destroyed me. I had a moment there when I watched The Whale and I was working on the thumbnail, and I had The Whale destroyed me, and then I was like, is this gonna sound like insensitive? Like I'm saying this guy sat on me. Let you guys into the thought process here when you're trying to come up with
The whale wrecked me.
I'm like, I don't think anyone's gonna think this.
I was crushed by the whale.
Is someone gonna be thinking I'm making some like fat phobic joke or something like that?
Greg gets canceled for whale title.
Big fat feels.
God damn. Anyway, Spider-Man with Sadie Sink. How do you feel about? I mean, that's a silly question, such a movie news question. Let me just ask: who do you think she's gonna play?
That's an interesting question because I've seen a few things online. I weirdly think she might be Jean Grey, and I don't like that.
Why do you think Jean Grey?
Well, I think that before this came out, there were like reports that she was going to be cast in the MCU as Jean Grey, and then it came out, as of yesterday, recording this, that she's going to be in Spider-Man 4. So I'm like, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. And I don't think that's the place to introduce X-Men characters, and it kind of speaks to the fact that I don't think they trust Tom Holland or that his iteration of Spider-Man to just stand on his own as a Spider-Man, not dependent upon the larger universe. And that makes me sad because he's a great actor that we've talked about before. And, Spider-Man is largely known for his individual stories. And I don't think introducing the X-Men is beneficial to his character. Granted, I haven't read the script. I don't know what their exact plan is. I know that prior to this casting, they had a conversation, or there were reports that there was this feud between Marvel and Sony about them wanting to do something that's either more ground level, which I think Marvel wanted to do, and then Sony wanted to do something like bigger and more multiverse-esque. So I wonder where this new plan sits into it. I've seen a couple different things. So I know she's the first person cast in the movie, but I've also seen people say that she's the new co-lead of the movie. And I don't know if that's the case. Do you think she's the co-lead? And also, what do you think about it?
I think she would be the co-lead only because of the early stage of casting. The fact that it's been, I don't know if it was like if all the trades just took off with it. But it's essentially the announcement that she's in it, right? And the fact that it's being reported so big right now, I would imagine she's the co-lead. Jean Grey is the one I heard about forever, right? Like I see all the AI thumbnails of like her in the X-Men suit and stuff. I feel like she would be a good Jean Grey.
Definitely.
I do think that if they did do that, I think she would be an excellent Jean Grey. Man, she really would be. I haven't really put much thought into that. Now that I'm thinking about like what I love about Jean Grey, and then if you're starting off with someone who, again, like Tom Holland, who has a very youthful look, she is young, but
She's turned 23.
Yeah, to have that youthful look and then grow and to become the Phoenix over time, like, oh yeah, she would be a damn good Jean Grey, and she has the emotional range already, so it would be cool. I agree, though. I would not be excited by that theory, that rumor of her being Jean Grey especially if it's a co-lead. But even if it's like a small supporting role, I don't feel like Jean Grey should be in the Spider-Man form.
I
don't
never
agree with that.
associate Jean Grey with Spider-Man. I think in a weird taboo like Hail Mary of an answer, I'd be happy if she's not Jean Grey and they do something that we've never seen in the Spider-Man movie, which would be Black Cat. I'm like, I'd be curious to see that. Like, let's get Black Cat in a Spider-Man movie. Maybe she's in it, maybe she's not. But if you do a curveball and do maybe something a little more unconventional, make her that would be cool. But if she is Jean Grey, I think that just presents an interesting dilemma because Jean Grey is already super powerful as a character. Maybe they don't start off that way, but just the nature of her powers invites larger threats. Also, with her being so young, she's 22, going on 23 as the time of recording this, and I'm like, I like it. Because, when you start an X-Men franchise, I think the X-Men start off as like younger. They start off as teenagers, right? And I'm like, okay, at what point then do you introduce Wolverine? Because Wolverine's like a burly, hairy, short dude. And like, I don't know. I think optics is like a little strange for like this young 20-year-old girl to be with like a 45-year-old Wolverine.
I didn't even think about that. You can just get Finn Wolfhard to play Wolverine. It'd be all right.
Yeah, man, it'd be fun.
The other theory that is the prevalent one is that she's Mary Jane Watson from another universe.
I don't like that.
I'm not a fan of that either. Just because we already have an MJ, and let's keep it focused. What I'm not a fan of is the multiverse idea. I don't feel like they should do that.
We just did it.
I think we just did it. MCU seems like it's interested on putting some type of button on it with the Avengers, the next two Avengers movies. Like, let's put a close on this.
Yeah.
And No Way Home had a very powerful ending. It was a strong ending with a secret dovetail origin story about Spider-Man, about Tom Holland Spider-Man. We're like, oh shit, we've been watching an origin tale this whole time, and we didn't even really know that it was the origin tale to him being street level. And I think it would massively undercut that experience to go from something as grand as that with a real zeroed in focus. I think that's what we want. That's why we love the show Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Because as big as it is, as cool as it is, it still feels like what the title implies. A New York City Spider-Man, one who is a defender of New York City. So I want them to keep that. And so doing like a Mary Jane Watson, I'm just not a big fan of that. We already have an MJ. We already have like Zendaya. Zendaya and him are old. There's also the real life aspect that they're together. I feel like that would be kind of... I don't think you want to piss off Zendaya right now. I don't think you want to do something as intrusive as that.
Yeah, there's also a theory that she was going to be Gwen Stacy. And even that, I'm like...
I would believe that, though.
I could believe it. I could see it. She could dye her hair blonde, sure. But I also feel like, yeah, we just had that. We just had him have a love interest. And granted, Spider-Man has a ton of love interests in the comics. Like, this is something that's well known about the character. But I'm like, what is our intention here? And if they do the multiversal route... I feel like it would be with the intention of reversing what they did in the last movie, because you have the multiverse take away Peter Parker's life. And then I imagine they would have the multiverse reintroduced to reinstate his sense of normalcy within his life, because I don't know how long Spider-Man without Peter Parker is sustainable for their narrative. Granted, I would not mind that. I would love if we had a Spider-Man that was a la like the Batman, where he's just in the suit for like 90% of the movie. I think that'd be great. I don't think they would ever do that, but I think it'd be interesting.
Well, I'm not opposed to the Gwen Stacy idea. We haven't had Gwen Stacy in Tom Holland Spider-Man yet. And with the fact that Zendaya's MJ, does not know who Peter Parker is, and he's starting off in school, I think there is a plot and an organic opportunity. It's not a high school story, but a college story. There's an organic opportunity to actually introduce Gwen Stacy into the fold, and then like she's trying to start a new life, and to start a new life, that means you have to have new romance. You got to have new friendships, and I can see how it can come in the form of Sadie Sink as Gwen Stacy. I think that would be actually not a bad call, personally.
I could see it, and then we introduce his other more established supporting characters, because I know that characters like traditionally MJ, Harry, and I believe Gwen.
Oh, we haven't even got Harry yet, huh?
Yeah, are introduced in his college age, and people like Flash Thompson, Liz, are more his high school era. So if we were to evolve his cast of characters, present him with different types of problems, more mature problems, a different type of romantic energy or exchange within someone like a Gwen Stacy, I think that gives us a chance to mature the character, to get us in a different light. Plus, we have a different director, which will bring different sentiments to what it's like to present a Spider-Man story. Do we know if it's the same writers or if it's a different team?
I have no idea. John? John, look at the thing
Johnny
there. That's
boy!
about it.
What
Give
did
me,
I
give me
ask?
the prompt again. I was looking up something else.
Who's writing Spider-Man 4? Is it the same people as last time, or we got a new team?
Chris McKenna and Eric Summers,
There you
who
go.
previously worked on Spider-Man: The
Yep.
Homecoming
Yep,
trilogy.
it's the
Okay.
same people, yeah. Just different director this time. Well, I also think a romantic story, we haven't really even done the romantic story with Tom Holland. Like, if you think about, like, there's a romance and there's like a cuteness to them,
Yeah.
but like Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone is a romantic story.
Yeah.
You know,
really
and
buy them.
Mary Jane and, Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire, that's a romantic story. I don't really feel like it ever got really fleshed or lived in, though, the boyfriend-girlfriend side of that. It's like, you just meet MJ in the first one, you barely know her. And the second one, it's like, I like her all of a sudden. And then the third one, they're together, but it's not really anything about that. You know?
Yeah, it's really about the conflict at hand, and
Yeah.
she's just more of a support system for him rather than addressing the highs and lows of being in a relationship with a superhero.
And I think it could be a personal conflict, too, of if he does have like residual feelings for MJ,
Yeah.
but she doesn't remember him and he has to let her go, and like the difficulties of moving on into a new relationship. And how much more heartbreaking would it be for a guy who's like, I didn't think I could move on from the person who I thought would be the love of my life, but I had to, and then I found you, and then next thing you know, she's dead from, the back snap or whatever they decided to do. Again, yeah.
Do you think it would be beneficial or detrimental to have Zendaya's MJ in this movie as well, if you're introducing a new love interest?
I think it would be beneficial to have MJ still. I don't think she has to. I don't know if she has to be like a co-lead, but to rebuild into that would be pretty cool to me.
Okay.
I
Starting from that place of we don't know each other, but I'm just kind of like around.
Yeah. I just think there's a lot you could do via the romantic angle, and I know there's so much we want to get into with it. So let's let our audience be the springboard for a lot of this. I'll start reading off comments, and they're mainly hate comments about us.
That's great.
Let's
Just read those, actually.
If I look progressively more sad and angry as we go through this, it has nothing to do with it. Imagine just like
I just start sweating.
No one's
I
answering
wrote
the
all
question.
those comments with a bunch of dummy accounts.
If I just punch the laptops, because they're going to be getting a lot of support.
Okay, so the top comment is from Charari7826, who says, I saw a theory that she will play Spider-Man and MJ's daughter. Oh, interesting. From
Mayday?
the Sam Raimi, Mayday Parker. That's got to be it, right? That's Mayday Parker, the daughter of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
From the Sam Raimi universe.
That's an interesting one.
Well, how do you mean? How do you feel about? I feel like they're trying to tie it a little bit more, because what Sony really has going for them with Spider-Man is the Spider-Verse animated movies.
True. That's definitely an oddball choice. It's unconventional. I think it depends. I need to see how they execute that. But my immediate reaction is, that's weird. I don't know if I like that, because I feel like, again, that kind of goes speaking to them opening the multiverse door again, and I would prefer them to keep it smaller on the ground. You know what I would like in the Spider-Man movie? If they can get the BB report going in. We see New York in the feel of New York in this grounded Spider-Man. That's what I would want. But as far as your question goes, I'm not close to the idea. It wouldn't be my choice, but if they find an interesting way into it, why not?
I'm like, what? I guess I'd have to know what the narrative is to know what I feel about it. And it's kind of a weird thing, right? Because it's a theory about a character she's playing, and a theory about a character would mean that you have to try to theorize a whole plot in your own head of how that would make sense and what it would be. And like, am I on board with this completely convoluted, contrived thing I've just made up?
So wait. My brain has been going, okay, she's co-lead, she's new love interest. So if she's Mayday Parker from a different universe, and that's still what they're trying to do? Because I'm like, is he trying to his multiversal daughter? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's where they're going.
Are you asking me, is he going to be a romantic relationship with his multiversal? Is that what you think? Is that what you think we're asking each other right now?
That's what I thought. Part of me, I was like, is that what they're trying to do with this? No, hell no.
No, I don't. I mean, that was not a weird.
That's pretty weird.
It would be no. I mean, in the romantic part, yes, not Game of Thrones we're watching. It would be it would be fun. I think it would be fun if it is like, you know how in the Into the Spider-Verse movie, how there was like a Peter Parker who's like a washed up Peter Parker, and then he befriends Miles Morales.
Yeah.
So if you have a Spider-Man here and it could be a very unique, weird dynamic of like, you're my daughter from like another universe. I think there is some fun dynamics that you could have with that.
You can Back to the Future that.
Or
yes, you can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or if they're gonna do another multiversal story, I wouldn't. Again, it'd be how they execute it, but rather than people come to Peter's universe, we put Peter in another universe and have him try to interact with that world.
Okay.
The inverse of No Way Home.
All right. So here, I'm looking up this character right now because I see a couple of comments that are. Oh yeah, of course. What am I talking about? This is from Spider-Man and Friends. A big comment that I'm seeing a lot of in here, like from Listaniel and Crisper, Firestar. That's the big one. Is that they think she's playing Firestar in it.
Firestar, wasn't she? And correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't she in the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends?
That's what I said. Spider-Man and Friends. Spider-Man and Amazing Friends. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, sure.
So
it's another character, that we haven't had in the MCU. But again, that kind of goes back to my thing about can we just have Spider-Man just be Spider-Man by himself?
But wouldn't you need other characters in the movie?
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with having
other characters. You think any other superhero would be a distraction? Any other superhero?
I guess it depends on how they use them. Because if it's more along the lines of how James Gunn is using other superheroes as like to show the divide between his life and have them be supporting but really be the focus, be Spider-Man, then I think that's okay. I'm of two minds because I'm like, I don't want anybody else to be in a Spider-Man movie who's saving people aside from Spider-Man or Daredevil. Like,
yeah.
I don't want Daredevil's support, but other than that, I was like, let's just be Spider-Man by himself.
Well, it's funny about what you said. It's like the second top comment is from Game Night J14. Before we move on to that, let me just clarify for people who don't know who Firestar is. Angelica Jones, mutant superhero. Known for her ability to generate and control microwave radiation and microwaves, just joking, which she uses to fly and create, such a dad joke, create intense heat blast. And she was originally created for Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends as a replacement for the Human Torch, and then later became a part of Marvel Comics characters, eventually appearing in the X-Men and New Warriors. So, yeah, that would be cool for her to play an actual superhero versus just another love interest. Like, I actually do find that more appealing of a cast than Gwen Stacy personally.
Yeah.
Because it's not the level of distraction, right? Like with the James Gunn Superman movie, it always depends on what other throwing in Hal Jordan as Green Lantern would be very different than Guy Gardner's Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Very different optics, very different reception, very completely different narrative.
Yeah. Very different type of guys.
So to me, the level of impact of introducing a character like Firestar is not the same thing as having Jean Grey show up in there,
Yeah, because we look a little overshadowing potentially, because you're thinking about the future of X-Men rather than just the containedness of whatever the story is.
Well, you pitched Black Cat earlier too, but you're okay with that?
Because that's a supporting Spider-Man character, and she's more of a femme fatale. She can work within a context that brings something out of Spider-Man, but that's already established within what we know Spider-Man to be, rather than bringing some extra property or something not associated with Spider-Man to take away the focus from Spider-Man. I don't want Spider-Man to be an X-Men commercial. I want Spider-Man to just be about Spider-Man.
That's fair. I think what we're done with the MCU is it being a commercial in general for whatever is next. Yeah,
I mean, with certain things, sure, but I feel like we've gotten better about that with having it be the thing itself, and then whatever the post-credit scene is teases the future. I think Shang-Chi was like that. All of Shang-Chi was pretty contained except for the post-credit scene. Miss Marvel largely I felt like was contained. Daredevil so far seems to be pretty contained. So, you guys had a conversation about this last week about Doomsday, about how the MCU in the past have kind of set up stuff right to lead into Thanos. I don't really believe that you need to do that. I think things can just be established within the film itself, and just we see where all these characters are leading into that event within the context of the film, just really quickly, and having them form. Because I feel like in that regard, it could be similar to the original Avengers movie. It's about the formation, but So back to the topic at hand. Yeah, I just don't want this to be a commercial for the X-Men. I think Spider-Man should be able to stand on his own, unless whatever their story is to reflect something that Spider-Man needs to learn back unto himself. Like if we utilize these characters in a way that allow us to understand or challenge Peter in a way that he hadn't been challenged before to help him grow narratively and internally, I think that's great. But if it's not to do that and it's just to have other characters and creative ways to show new action scenes, I feel like that can run the risk of feeling cheap. Again, it's all about execution.
I mean, what's the feel? So why do you love Spider-Man? I'll just ask that. Why do you feel like you personally love the character of Spider-Man? Why do you connect with him so much?
I love Spider-Man because he is willing to do the right thing at the cost of the stabilization of his life. He is run by this code. With great power comes great responsibility. If you can, then you must. And I feel like that level of altruism is very inspiring. I feel like it speaks to the heart of people and their inherent desire to want to do good. That's how I strive to be. I feel like if I have the ability to do something that's within my power, it is my obligation to do said thing. Because I am someone who cares about people. I want to help people. And I feel like Spider-Man is the model example for that.
And where do you think the divide is, if there is a divide? Where do you think the divide is for you from when you hear what people are kind of thinking or wanting from another Spider-Man movie versus why you love Spider-Man?
What do I think people want from a Spider-Man movie versus why I love Spider-Man?
I guess in like a quick little example would be a lot of people are like excited about the prospect of her being Jean Grey. Mm-hmm. How does that conflict with your love for Spider-Man beyond it just might distract or overshadow? You don't feel like it will thematically tie into the character narrative that you are hoping to see, right? Is that what I'm kind of getting at here? Is that what I'm picking up on?
Yeah, I feel like having an ensemble of other heroes runs the risk of decentralizing his personal conflict or his personal battle with his relationship to justice. I feel as though if we're having these other heroes involved, it could dampen that. I think it runs the risk of dampening something like that. And I also feel like it runs the risk of having him have the sense of maybe internal inadequacy of like, oh, these guys are also good at this thing. And I'm terrible at being Spider-Man, which I feel like we've semi-done before. And I just don't want to see Spider-Man in that light. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. I want him to be able to stand on his own, solve his own problems without having the aid of someone like S.H.I.E.L.D. or Tony Stark or other Spider-Man. I want him to feel...
And you kind of run into the same problem if you have other superheroes.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it now. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, now granted, he did kind of, I guess, sort of what Homecoming was about, with the fact that he needs to be his own man. If you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. And him like doing the come on Spider-Man. I think that stuff was really good, but he still had like a super suit. And I liked that implication at the end of No Way Home, where he designed his own suit. He has his own apartment. He's struggling to pay rent. He's the lowest he's ever been. And to watch him independently build himself back up without the reliance of other people to aid him, I feel like has the potential to be a very strong and emotionally satisfying story.
I think something you just said made me realize, like, if they go multiverse, then it's going to be a contributing factor to one of the things that I've never really quite touched on. That is to me, kind of an issue with the Tom Holland trilogy of films. They don't ever really follow through on their endings of the previous movies. No. So the last movie, what you just said, with like him coming into his own and such, I mean, in Far From Home, it starts off and him and Aunt May are like, this is cool. Like, yeah, you're Spider-Man. Yeah, and when it's like, wow, that could have been a very personal thing they have to work through as aunt and nephew, right? It could have been something very powerful instead of that's funny and cute and it lasted a scene. But it was the ending of the last one. You know?
I feel like it kind of cheapens that.
It cheapens that. Of it. And then even him creating his own suit via Stark Tech in that one as well. And then that one ends, Far From Home ends with like, oh my God, the news report, that crazy, brilliant Spider-Man ending. I guess you kind of get it in the first few minutes of No Way Home where he's like on the run. Yeah, it's kind of how I feel about some of the Jurassic World movies. Oh, wait, you haven't seen those? We haven't seen those?
I've seen them once, but don't really remember that at all. No.
Reaction. But yeah, I think then it becomes about a completely different thing in No Way Home, right? With Doctor Strange and the multiverse. But the stakes and the consequences of like the danger that he's in doesn't feel as like strongly present in No Way Home before the spell. It's just kind of, this is kind of an annoying chapter in my life right now. Versus like a really like hard time, like the trial of Peter Parker. Did he kill Mysterio? It's all kind of just glossed over really quick to get to your multiversal plot. And I think if they went multiversal again, I'm like, you're doing it again. You had an ending, and you're totally steering away from your ending that you had. And I would agree then. Yeah, I now see the big difference between like a Black Cat and a Firestar. But to what you said earlier, Game Night J14 is saying I want it street level, especially after what's been going on in Daredevil.
Yes.
Now, they're doing the Registration Act in Daredevil. One thing Daredevil is incredibly succeeding at, whether or not you're loving the show, is I think they really make the presence of New York City feel very much alive. Like, New York is a beautiful city that I absolutely love and want to move to one day. To the New Yorkers out there, we want to move there.
We want to go. We love it.
We would love to move to New York. But anyway, and then within New York, there's a lot of superheroes that are just based out there. And that was part of the fun of the Netflix show, was it is like Netflix New York with the Defenders and such. And with the Registration Act happening, the fact that you do officially with this Disney Plus show are making it crystal clear, Daredevil, Kingpin, they're in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. Kingpin references Spider-Man.
He does.
In the second episode.
Yes.
I don't feel like Kingpin and Daredevil should be in the fourth one. I do think one of the rumors is that they're filming 4 and 5 back to back. I would not be upset if they did do part 5 with Spider-Man and Daredevil. I think that would be pretty cool. Allow Matt Murdock, allow Charlie Cox to have his live action movie, because he only had a cameo in No Way Home, but he could actually be live action Daredevil in the movie. You get to see that brought to life. Like in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that interaction between him and Daredevil was so fun.
It was great.
It was great. It was amazing. I was like, thank you. And it would be good in live action with the two of them. They're opening up this world. Kingpin is also very much a Spider-Man villain.
Yes.
But the MCU is making it very clear that the main antagonist, the main rival for Kingpin is Echo. No, it's the main rival for Kingpin is Daredevil. So if you are in a situation where they're building up the Registration Act and you could do your part 5 where you could have Vincent D'Onofrio and Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox in Spider-Man 5, that would be really sweet. I mean, imagine if that's like the post-credit scene for what's going to come in the next in Spider-Man 4. So I think you should do your part 4, keep it very focused on the things that we're talking about, and then part 5, do your Spider-Man and Daredevil movie. And the fact is, we're working with John Bernthal here. I'm like, oh shit, that'd be pretty cool. Like if you do get some Punisher in there, I don't know how that would work, but in the Spider-Man movie, because he's a very violent guy. However, that would be my personal wish. I'm not going to sell myself on any of these ideas because I got to go whatever they give us, but I think that would be the avenue to go.
I've thought about this myself, and I was like, how would they do Spider-Man and Daredevil and Kingpin and all have them interact? Because we know that for some ungodly reason, I know it's like legal crap and whatnot. Can we cuss on here, or should we not do that?
It depends.
Can I say the F word?
Once.
like a
This is a
PG-13
PG-13 podcast. Parental guidance.
Never know with YouTube these days. People think we're like just being hypersensitive, but I've shared it before on the community pages. We'll get completely demonetized for 1 second. So
that's insane.
You never know. Sometimes it's like, that's weird. We didn't get demonetized for Invincible, but we're fine now. Okay.
Just a public service announcement. We do not enjoy censoring movies.
No, we don't. We hate it. We don't enjoy doing it. What'd you want to say? What was the F-bomb for?
I'll save it. I was curious. It's a thought I had in the back of my head, but I don't know a world where that could be possible with Spider-Man even on the TV show, because live action Spider-Man can't exist within Marvel properties or Marvel live action properties. But obviously, someone like Daredevil, Kingpin, in theory, could appear in a film. Now, I like it on the surface, but when I think about it deeper, I feel like that runs a risk of cheapening the experience of Daredevil by having it be like, okay, we're starting this story with the Registration Act and Kingpin on TV, but then we're going to transition to the movie, and you got to watch the Daredevil show to get the Spider-Man movie. Because I feel like that's kind of what people started to get tired of initially with stuff like the Marvels or stuff like Doctor Strange 2. And I would want them to craft a story that involves those characters that's specifically for the movie. But with the way the show is going, I don't know how that is possible.
Did I ever tell you how I would adapt Batman Year One?
No.
I would make it solely from Gordon's perspective. Because it's early years Gordon. And I would, like, this would never, ever happen. This is just my little semi-artsy take of a Batman adaptation. From Gordon's perspective, Batman would appear in it, but you never show a scene from Bruce Wayne or Batman's perspective. Ooh. So when Bruce Wayne's there, it's only from Gordon's perspective. Like, the audience knows Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same, but we never break that perspective to show like a scene with Bruce Wayne, you know, when Gordon's not around, or Batman when Gordon's not around. Always see it from Gordon's perspective.
That's cool.
That's how I would do Daredevil in the Spider-Man movie. So you don't have to worry about any of that. Is you just have, like, because he doesn't need to know that Matt Murdock and Daredevil are the same person. He doesn't need to know Matt Murdock. You could just have the Daredevil character be in there, right, and interact with him. And maybe sometimes even interacts with Matt Murdock, but he never has to learn they're the same person.
Right, their conflicts don't have to interact. I think with that that's more so my worry with including someone like Fisk within a Spider-Man movie, because of the whole stuff with the Mayor and Registration Act. I feel like that's something that should be resolved within the narrative of Daredevil. And I imagine if they were to put Wilson Fisk within a Spider-Man movie, that's something they would have to address within the film itself.
Well, I do think we have to get Wilson Fisk in Spider-Man, though, at some point.
I want it so bad.
Because he's Kingpin.
He's Kingpin.
Kingpin is more than just Daredevil's villain. How many seasons can we get of Matt being like freaking Kingpin? So this runs a really big redundancy point at a certain spot when you're 4 seasons in, and 3 of those 4 seasons are Kingpin. You know,
I'm just thinking this on the spot. The only way I could think of that even being possible, right, is if for some reason the Wilson Fisk Registration Act thing becomes a bigger issue, right? It extends beyond just Daredevil's narrative. Maybe it extends into other Disney Plus ground level, street level shows. We do that, and then we do a film Defenders movie resolving that issue with these other street level heroes, including Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think there's avenues. I feel like I think it's a must. I'm just saying that with Kingpin, I would hate if he is just solely reserved for the TV side, and primarily just the Daredevil show.
Let's make Fisk president.
Yeah. Well, I think Kingpin is just such. I grew up mainly knowing him, and I think most people did, who just mainly consume media and not comics at the time. Kingpin is a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, he's in the 90s show. Prominent part of that show.
It's the game, too. Like, it's the game. Yeah. The game kicked off with him in there.
With the fight scene with him, yeah.
Yeah, so I do think it's a necessary thing. Into the Spider-Verse, Kingpin is the main villain in that.
True.
You know, so I think they are going to rob themselves of something if you can't have Kingpin be a main villain in the Spider-Man world at some point.
Yeah, I'm just so curious about how they'd go about it, just with the nature of what's going on in the show right now. If they're able to find a way to resolve the stuff that's currently going on with Fisk, move on to a different villain, so that's Daredevil's primary focus, and then reintroduce him in a Spider-Man movie, I think that's something that feels more plausible to me. But if you're introducing him within the same conflict that seems like it'll be going on for at least another couple of seasons, I'm having a hard time imagining them having some sort of intersection within this Mayor Fisk Registration Act sort of plot. Would you want that to be something addressed in the film?
The Registration Act?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has to have an effect. I feel like the Sokovia Accords didn't really have much of an effect outside of the one movie. When we were watching Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and they had this one, if you haven't seen it, shame on you guys, but in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, there's a cameo from a special character who is working with Thunderbolt Ross via the Sokovia Accords. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's supposed to be a thing that occurred. And it's not really present in the movies.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really present for the main characters involved in Captain America Civil War after Captain America. Just the whole movie of Civil War is about, like, do we or do we not abide by this? And that becomes the Civil War. The Registration Act is something that could have a massive, profound effect for a lot of the characters in New York City. So for the characters who are based in New York, Spider-Man is one. It's kind of weird if they don't address that, if they don't deal with it.
So how would you feel if we watched this season of Daredevil, right, addressing this, and then they resolve the Registration Act within the Spider-Man movie?
I don't think they have to resolve it, but it could be a part of the story.
Oh, you don't think he'd be the main antagonist?
I don't think it has to be the conclusion to the Registration Act.
Okay.
Yeah, but I feel like it could be part of the world.
Okay, I'm curious as to how they would do that, but I'm not opposed to it. I'm having a hard time seeing it, but if they're finding a way to make it work that's narratively satisfying and satisfying for Spider-Man as a character, I think it could work.
Yeah,
potentially.
I think what we just want is like a really good, compelling movie that is intense and fun at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, like what was it? We want the
focused.
emotion back. And that's what we want, is the emotional grip. Like, I think No Way Home really shifts into a high gear once the Spidey sense kicks in when he's in the room with the six.
Yeah.
You know, and then leading to that Aunt May scene. So yeah, I think that's a good one. What else is on here? All right, big one. We're a big one here. Let's read a really long one. I really just want Casper 420. I really just want it to be more of a home turf story conflict for Spidey.
Yes.
Incorporate more of his villains.
Yes.
And other aspects of his character, saving just New York. I know the Avengers, Thunderbolts, and Multiverse will still have a presence, but I hope they distance from that enough to give us a good Spider-Man movie. A movie that, if you didn't see the last decade of movies, you won't be confused from a few Easter eggs. Yeah, it's a very good summation of a lot of what we've been talking about.
Yes, I appreciate you and I agree with you, whoever wrote that comment. Yeah, I would like it if we use Spider-Man 4 as like a soft reboot into this new era of Spider-Man. They softly acknowledge it, kind of like how Born Again is softly acknowledging the things that happened in the previous show. But yeah, let's set this as a new beginning for Spider-Man.
Okay. DMF boss counter to all this. I know people don't want it to be a multiversal film, but I feel like if they go that route, having her play Mayday would be interesting. Her and Tom could have a cool dynamic with both being young Spider people trying to make it on their own, and it could act as a great setup for potential father-daughter team up in Secret Wars with Tobey Maguire. You see, again, then it's a commercial for for Secret Wars at that point.
I don't want commercials. I want movies, y'all.
I do. I like when people hold a can of Coke.
I like when Kylie Jenner's separating our crowds.
How else do I know what to buy?
Yeah, man.
Why do you think I own so many Audis? Because of Iron Man.
He's the spokesman for it.
Oh, who is this? This character's not coming to mind. There's a few upvotes on this. Nike Joy 12 says they have the funniest opportunity to make her screwball and piss everyone off.
I was going to highlight that comment if you didn't.
That's great.
So
Screwball was remember, did you play the DLC of Spider-Man?
I did not.
Oh, okay. So she's like she's another character within the Marvel universe. I don't know if she's specifically Spider-Man, but yeah, in that game she had like her own reality show, and she's like making Spider-Man play these games.
Oh wait, yeah, I just looked up her photo. Yeah. Okay, I know this character.
That could be funny. That could be fun.
I actually could see Sadie Sink pulling off this character.
That'd be fun.
She would be able to pull that character off.
I don't know about a co-lead. Granted, if they find a way to make it compelling, sure. As long as you're doing a story that is both compelling from a narrative point of view and a character point of view, I'm all for it. As long as it's serving the characters, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And if you follow up on the stakes that you set up or established at the end of your last film, that's also what I care about.
Yeah.
Let's make building blocks here, guys.
All right. Okay. Maybe she'll play the real MJ. They have a real MJ.
Get over it, guys.
She's just not a white redhead. That's it. Did you hear about Denzel Washington being rumored to play Magneto? We're moving on. What do you guys want for the Spider-Man story? That's fun.
man.
Never done like a. I mean, even with the ones we show. Oh my God, I almost broke this.
Real quick, shouts out to the person who said Squirrel Girl as well.
Oh, Squirrel!
Girl.
I didn't miss that. I was scrolling fast. Who said that?
That would be Neighbor, Neibur.
Squirrel Girl will be a fun one.
I'm weirdly okay with Squirrel Girl.
Watch her not be anyone significant. But yeah, I love the talk. That was a fun talk.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys want for Spider-Man 4? I think it's different, like a different kind of conversation we're having now.
Definitely.
Whereas like No Way Home was, who's going to be in this? It sounds like the world is going to appear in this. Oh my God, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, like that was a big part of it. The crazy theories and now there's a lot of the audience, and I think we are part of that audience that's like, let's just focus it. Let's just keep it simple. Keep it small. Keep it simple and small and really grounded. And do that. And it's weird because leading into No Way Home, it was like, yeah, oh, what if they do that? It was exciting and cool, and then they did it. And if you did, I don't think they should bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, especially in Part 4. That's the last thing I think you should do. Secret Wars, I'm all for it. That sounds like a crazy Easter egg, time, and I'm all for it. But it would immediately lessen the effect. It happens with any franchise when you dilute the experience and the impact.
Yeah.
And you lose the specialty if you immediately bring back those two guys. It ruins it. It's like the Fast movies of everyone's resurrected, and it's like, Jesus,
I stopped taking the Fast movies seriously probably around like 7. I didn't take them serious after we get to like 6. I'm like, okay, this is like a live action cartoon, so why not?
I think the Spider-Man movies and the Fast movies are very much on the same level.
They are, yeah. All about family, both of them.
Reject Nation, I currently am on a very specific macro plan. Calories, fat, carbs, protein, the goods. And what's very fortunate for me, some of the brands that we have partnered with recently are products that I've already been using. So throughout this journey, I want to keep you guys updated on my health and fitness goals. January 25th, I was 218 pounds. At the time of filming this one, just under 198. A little lighter than the last time I mentioned today's sponsor, HUEL, baby. That's right. I already tore it open because I just had one earlier today. This is my own order. This is I paid with my own money because I love the product. It's been one of my go-to drinks on this journey. And HUEL's Black Edition rated drink is a complete meal in a bottle. It's packed with 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, so you're not just filling up, you're fueling up, as we like to say. And here's why I keep coming back to it. It's freaking efficient. It's ready. Just grab it, drink it, donezo. It actually tastes great. That's so important. A lot of protein shakes look good, but taste bad. This one, smooth, delicious, and no chalky aftertaste. It's got low sugar, high protein, good macros. Fits into my plan without ruining any of my progress. And the other thing, too, is I got more flavors than ever. Chocolate, vanilla, iced coffee, strawberry banana, which is what my wife Olivia loves to drink. Or if you can't decide, you just grab a variety box. That's an option, too. It's affordable. Each bottle is under $5. Make it an easy choice for anyone looking for a quick, nutritious meal. And if you want to give it a go like myself, here's the deal. You go to HUEL.com, use my code REJECTS, and get 15% off your first order, plus a free gift. That's HUEL.com, code REJECTS. Fuel your body right, even on the go. Hopefully, you love it just as much as I do.
Oh man, but yeah, you asked me about Denzel as Magneto. I am conflicted
Why?
with that question because
he's going to be in Black Panther 3, and he's definitely not Magneto in Black Panther 3. Yeah.
he's Denzel. He can do anything.
Yeah.
He can do any and every role. I don't believe they would do that. Make Magneto like an African character.
Why not?
Because I don't know. I feel like it's tough, right? Because I feel like Magneto is a Holocaust survivor. He's firmly a Jewish character. So for them to do that would feel like disrespectful to people that really latch onto that character and his heritage. But also Denzel's so good. So
there's black Jewish people.
In the Holocaust?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I genuinely
really
don't know. I'm not informed enough to say there's Black Holocaust survivors. I don't think so, though. I'm going to go on a limb and say probably not. But I will gladly be wrong.
It's also a world full of mutants and crazy things. Like, we don't need to be 100% historically accurate.
Yeah.
And for a, it would, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you've cast any black person in that role, right? It's going to create a storm. It'd be just, no pun intended. It's gonna create like, oh my God, race swapping and ever. I think with Denzel, you would definitely get some of that.
For
I
sure.
feel like it would be a lot less because people just love Denzel Washington and they know how incredible of an actor that man is.
Yeah.
And for X-Men being such a strong allegory for race, it would be an interesting thing to do, a race swapping type of situation for Magneto. I could see a positive with the conversation of how, like, if there's any time to do some type of controversial conversation casting thing, X-Men is one where I feel like it's kind of appropriate to give it a shot because of what the themes of X-Men deal with. I don't think they should do that with every character. But yeah, and I'll also say this. I don't believe at all he's going to be playing Magneto. I don't know why that people are really so like. I don't buy that for 1 second.
Yeah, because one, he's already in Black Panther 3, and 2, I believe, if I remember correctly, he said he was going to stop acting after Black Panther 3. And you don't cast a Magneto to just put him in one movie. You want him for the franchise.
I think was there like
I
a
wouldn't be opposed if they brought him back.
I remember he said he was retiring, and then he like said something else following that. But he is like 70 something. He just looks like 40. He like looks great, you know.
He's 70 years old and he's still doing the Equalizer. That's wild, man.
He's great. I think he's doing a 4 and 5.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I mean, he's like in great shape.
Yeah.
I think Denzel's an incredibly inspiring guy. I love listening to his interviews. I love listening to the speeches he gives. He's got a lot of wisdom. I love when he admits to like early lessons of failures in his life and listening about the hardships he's gone through. I find him to be one of the most inspiring. And there's like sometimes people will dumb down like when actors want to give life advice. There's parts like I love listening to Matthew McConaughey, and I'm starting to see there's like backlash of this side of Matthew McConaughey, like he wants to have his own cult or something. Like I don't know. I think he just wants to be like a good person and spread some wisdom to the world and share and inspire.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't feel like he's starting a Matthew McConaughey church unless he's got some other agenda I don't know about. I think Denzel, whenever I listen to him speak, it sounds very sincere. And I love his non-complexity to his advice too. I think he's a very straightforward person when it comes to the advice. Even if he talks for a long time, it's very direct. There's like no bullshit type of mentality. And beyond that, you can see he lives every bit of advice that he is giving in any of these interviews. I think that's like for that reason, I'm like, he'd be a good Professor X to me because of who Denzel is in like the interviews and stuff that I at least know him to be. So yeah, I think I love Denzel, the man who is on videos, since I don't know him in real life, but the man who's in like interviews and stuff.
Yeah, it would be funny. What were you going to say?
Oh, I had a quote for you from him if it's of relevance.
Get it in.
He basically said that, for me, it's about the filmmaker, especially at this point in my career. I'm only interested in working with the best. I don't know how many more films I'm going to make. Probably not that many. I want to do things I haven't done. And then went on to say after that, after Black Panther 3, I'm going to retire. Then he clarified, I didn't say I was going to go into retirement. I said it has to be at a level of interest to me. I'm more interested in getting behind the camera, so that's about 5 years out. It's very difficult, and I may have used the word retire, but I look at life in 3 sections. You learn, you earn, and you return. I'm in the return part of my life. I'm not retiring.
You earn, and you return.
And also, there are Black Holocaust survivors.
Thank you for clarifying.
Hans Massaquoi and Theodore Michael are notable examples.
Okay. Wait, did you just look that up, or you knew that already?
I looked that up. I did not know that.
Okay. Whew. Thank you for clarifying that in the show. I think it would be funny, or not funny. I think it would be interesting having Malcolm X, the guy who played Malcolm X, play Magneto. I think that would be interesting. But
There's a bad guy in Gladiator too, as well. And
yeah.
Wait, why were you saying it? Because I don't really view Magneto as a bad guy.
I don't think. No,
I think
Malcolm X is also not a bad guy. But if we're looking at the,
I thought you were saying Malcolm X because he's not a bad guy for some reason. I don't know.
No. So during the civil rights,
revolutionist.
during the civil rights movement, you can make the allegory or the comparison that Malcolm X is Magneto and Martin Luther King is Professor X. And because they're both on opposite sides, or seemingly opposite sides.
That's very true, actually. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, they're both guys who want prosperity for their people, but went about it in two different ways. Granted, Malcolm X kind of changed his views later on in life because found out what he was believing was a lie. But ultimately, two guys having a different approach about the same sort of issue. Now, kind of build off of what you were saying with the thing about his integrity in his uncomplicated way of saying the truth. I think that's very true. I think he's a very inspiring individual. I think he's lived his life with a lot of integrity, with a lot of truth, and a lot of backing up of what he's saying. I feel like he's someone who's earned that ethos. And that's even reflected within his career choices, the fact that he doesn't do things that he doesn't believe in, that he is very selective about the projects that he chooses. That's why I think he had an opportunity to do a movie early on in his career that would have paid him a decent amount, and he turned it down because he didn't like the script. And ultimately, him choosing projects that served him and that were authentic to not only who he was, his interest in the material, but also things that just seemed enriching, that only propelled him and built up his career because he only had a track record of doing things of quality. And having a sense of integrity, having a sense of a strong compass presents you with opportunities. Even if the immediate choice, the candy is right in front of you, it gives you having that internal knowledge to not pick that allows you prosperity within your career or anything in life in the future.
Well, damn, yeah, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful, damn. Which, if there were, I'm really not opposed to Magneto or Professor X. I mean, it's like, I think that's the thing, right? It's like Magneto was the historical side of Magneto. Like, you're so associated as a Jewish man, but you don't associate him as like a black Jewish man, right? I do. If there was a black actor to play Magneto, can you think of another black actor in general? Are there any other black actors out there, Aaron?
Who would I want for Black Neato? Let's
Black
see.
Neato. Hashtag Black Neato. Black Neato.
First one that comes to my mind, Sterling K. Brown. I think he would kill it as Magneto. I feel like he just has that intensity, that presence. I feel like he's able to. He's great. He's a great actor with his eyes. He has a sense of showing vulnerability, but also an intensity with his performance. He's a strong sense of stillness, a powerful within his stillness whenever he's acting in another scene with a partner. Also, his ability to be like a representation of, hypermasculinity and vulnerability, and have those two things kind of intersect in a way that feels authentic and powerful. I feel like that's something that would serve a character like Magneto well if they were to cast a black actor as Magneto.
He's in Black Panther, isn't he?
He is, but he was in like one scene in the 90s. They can, it's not the first time we've seen an actor play multiple roles in the MCU. We got the girl from Eternals.
Yeah, isn't there like a Doctor Doom actor coming out?
There's no precedent for this.
Yeah. All right. Well, would you guys want Denzel to play Magneto? Let us know. If not, what other black actor? Courtney B. Vance, I think, would be a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm only really familiar with Courtney B. Vance. I feel like there's like other things I'm just not remembering, but like People versus OJ, I think he would be a really good one.
Isn't he in Lilo and Stitch?
Yes, he is. He's in the Disney umbrella. He should.
Did you watch that trailer?
No, I haven't. It's weird. I had that thought today of like, there's so many trailers that have come out that we haven't covered, and it's just weird to like how this channel first blew up from trailer reactions.
Yeah.
And now there's so many we just don't do, and it makes the movie reactions and show reactions better. Like, I haven't seen The Last of Us season 2 trailer at all.
Oh, really?
I haven't even like, I've maybe seen like an image or two that have like popped up from it, because apparently it's like the biggest trailer in the world. I haven't seen the trailer though, and I'm really happy I haven't. I'm very, very excited to just go into this show not having like any real idea of what the adaptation is going to be.
That's great. It's weird. It's a weird feeling watching the trailer because I know what happened in the game, but seeing them recreate certain scenes that it seemed like they're shot for shot is really cool. But I imagine you're going to get that much more out of it because you're playing Last of Us 2 right now.
Well, yeah, my method is different than what we did for first season. Where we did Last of Us season. I played Last of Us 1 and 2, and then I immediately watched the show with Andrew. This time around, I'm not replaying Last of Us 1. Instead, I'm just playing Last of Us 2. And it's the first time I'm doing this. This is like the third or fourth time I'm playing it.
Oh, really?
But I've unlocked like the game. But it's wild how much I forget. But because there's so limited time, I literally have like a timer where it's like, okay, it's 1 a.m. Set a timer for 45 minutes. So I have to play it in 45-minute chunks, like super late at night, because we're gonna do the gamer knowledge react one. So it's like one of the times like, oh, I gotta really know what I'm talking about.
Do you take notes while you're playing?
No, but it's the first time I'm doing it where all the stuff we were able to unlock from beating it with like the weapons and the infinite ammo and stuff. I'm like,
Game Plus.
Yeah, I'm like, screw it. It's the first time I'm doing modifiers to get through it. And it does dilute the experience. Like the horror and the fear is such a part of the game, and the earning when you do something. Like there's levels I've done, and I'm still doing it just because I'm like, that's such a long game, and I'm like, this show's coming out really soon. I gotta just go through this right now. Because I did stop. I took it off that, so I changed it to hard because I already have a hard time when it's on normal with none of the modifiers. So I changed it to hard with the modifiers. It's still like it's still easier than playing on normal because there's like the infinite ammo and stuff. There's not input infinite on everything to make it a little challenging.
So you're good at this game.
I'm really good at the game, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really good at the game. Are you not?
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
really
I
good at the game.
feel it's funny because I'm doing, I guess, the reverse of what you did last time. So, because I haven't played Last of Us 1 or 2 since 2020. So I'm playing them both for the first time in 5 years.
Oh, nice.
So I'm playing Last of Us 1, and then I'm going to go into 2, and then I'm going to rewatch season 1 and then do our reaction.
Nice.
Now, I think I'm about halfway through Last of Us 1 right now, but I'm playing it on easy mode without the modifications. And it's a little too easy because
You're playing on easy. Yeah.
But I was like,
I play it on easy, and the game sees. I don't
But I
understand.
didn't think so. I was like, but I'm playing it on easy to get through it because I just want to experience the story.
Right, but that's what it dawned on me. That part of the experience of the story is experiencing the difficulty.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh shit, I'm kind of robbing myself of something, but I really got to get through this story right now because there's so limited time.
Yeah, but it is robbing me of some of the experience because I remember like the certain scenes, like the sniper scene, like in number one.
I thought the show totally weakened. I was really disappointed in the show when they
did that. Really?
Yeah, because it's like, I think the show where they've failed is they miss out on a lot of the tension of the action. Only
sure.
the second episode really had that. There's the one episode and the one with the sniper, the fifth episode, where there's the crazy horde that they included. Sure, cool.
That's kind of in the game.
But I think like the action with like the sneaking around, the tension of the sneaking around and trying to shiv someone, kill someone, choke them out. Having to reload in the middle of a battle, like there's a lot and then in the sniper one, he just like, that's a hard part in the game where you have to get to the house.
Yeah,
and,
I just
take down the
did that
sniper.
part.
But then in the show, he just like goes around and then walks up the stairs. You know? Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, kind of because I haven't seen the show in 2 years, so like I'm remembering what that was like as I'm watching it. And yeah, there is a level of tension and things I had to readjust to adapt. And I'm like, okay, I can see how narratively they would move things around to, like, I guess, make it feel not less episodic, but to put the focus more on character than the tension of the circumstances that they're in, which is still there, but it's definitely lessened, right? So yeah, It is interesting, and it is easier because it does take away some of that thing that we both enjoy from the game when you're playing it on a difficulty that's lesser.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
We knocked out another story that wasn't planned. Greg and Aaron's revisiting The Last of Us.
On the
Okay.
spot.
Last one that, like I feel like there's been so many different variations of this conversation that have taken place a lot already about this Superman thing that have been kind of obvious. But just some pull quotes about it is David Zaslav reportedly leaning to make co-CEO of DC Studios Peter Safran the new head of Warner Brothers. That's a big rumor. New leadership search, but the main thing that's going around right now is how critical Superman is to the WB. that there's a genuine fear about the fate of the studio.
The whole studio? Oh, just DC. Yeah,
That's what I mean. It's like, to me, I was going, this could end or make or break the DC universe bottom line. Like, if it doesn't pan out, this essentially affects like everything, and then Supergirl would have a big problem, right? Since they're already shooting that, and Lanterns as well. David Zaslav bet big that they can show the world that the DC IP can have real value. They have a tremendous amount riding on it. And the other main thing going around from DC Film News directly, Superman has almost incalculable importance. I said that right. Incalculable importance to Warner Brothers Discovery. And there's reportedly genuine fear of the film studio going the way of Fox, which was acquired by Disney. An essential, as a quote, from a WB veteran, an essential element of the stock price is believing that the IP of DC is meaningful. Zaslav bet big that they can show the world that the DC IP can have real value. Superman is the first movie. This will set the tone. They have a tremendous amount riding on it. Yeah, it's a scary time for Warner Brothers. It's weird because they had like Barbie, which was a global phenomenon, but they've definitely had struggles with a lot of other movies that, like, they just had Mickey 17 come out and the movie like bombed, right?
Did it
like,
really?
It isn't like a terrible bomb.
John, did it bomb?
John, I said something,
It's
and
certainly
you're
not-
supposed to be my human AI. Just
I
answers
believe it
for
made
me.
$40 million odd on its opening weekend, and yes, it was
It's like
45 million global box office,
Oh, man.
and it's like a
Global?
$120 million production. So
that's
in its
unfortunate.
opening weekend, you would imagine that around the world it'll probably do okayish, but yeah, it's not what they had
No
hoped.
one,
And
no
the-
one wanted to
and
go
the-
support Batman?
And the generality is
Don't like Batman?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I don't like
Nobody liked the
17
Batman.
The generality is you double the production budget to account for marketing. And this movie was marketed like the amount of pop-ups I see of Pattinson and Bong Joon-ho on interviews and such and trailers. Like, they really pushed this one. And the reception doesn't feel like overwhelmingly positive, like glowing. Like, it's
Really?
positive. It's positive. I don't want to sound like I'm being like talking down the film because it's still fresh on both sides of the aisle here. But it doesn't feel like glowing in the way a movie like that ought to be. So they just had a flop there. Companion, I think, was Warner Brothers.
I liked Companion.
I loved Companion.
thought it was really good.
But it wasn't a huge film. I feel like that has the ability. It definitely underperformed too, even for a low budget horror movie. But it's like it's a Warner Brothers movie. So with Superman being the thing, I hope it does well, even if it's not like critically. Like, yes, I want a great film. Of course, I want a great film. I want it. That is so important for, like, I think that's where the MCU. It's weird where the MCU's at is like, they're still making some money, but what you really need is like great movies back to back right now and great shows back to back to turn around the reputation of qualitative product, because opening box office is just not cutting it anymore.
Right.
Like, or first 2 weeks of box office is just not cutting it anymore. It's like the way how Coy and I talked about when we said Captain America Brave New World reactions are not great. Of course, we got backlash for saying that. And we said it like, here's what happens. This movie does well opening weekend. Sweet. And then people try to like overhype that. I even think Mickey 17 was doing that. I think they said like #1 movie across the globe. I'm like, yes, you can spin narratives. If you're technically not wrong, you're not lying. There's more to this conversation. There's more to the narrative here than you are letting on right now.
Right, you're simplifying it.
And Brave New World is not like a banger of a box office success. Like, I think it broke even. Maybe not. But my point is, like, that's my point. If it had a more positive reception overall instead of the divide that it had, then its legs would last longer, right? So that's where I think where the MCU's at. Superman, they are really just, we need a financial hit. Like, we need a big financial hit. Yes, reputation, all that. Obviously really important. You need the snowball effect. You need people to be hyped for the future of DC based off of the positive reception of their Superman movie.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. But in my mind, I'm like, hey guys, even if it's not getting good word of mouth, watch it because there's a lot of other cool things that are coming out that we would love to see. You know,
I feel like it's gonna.
I feel like it's gonna be great. I feel like it's gonna do well, and I feel like it's gonna be great. I have the utmost confidence. And sorry to cut you off. Why don't you just talk? Sorry, I was on a roll there.
We're both excited. I think that there's a lot riding on this movie, yes, but it also has what, if I remember correctly, it's the 7th highest watched trailer in the world right now.
Oh,
yeah, like breaking all those records and whatnot. So I feel like that hype already is going to garner its financial success, which is going to speak to prosperity for the rest of the DC universe and its potential future. Because if it's not, we know David Zaslav isn't afraid to just cut movies from its legs. Quick sidebar: did you know there's a Looney Tunes movie coming out this month in theaters?
yeah, I did hear about that, and part of me was going like, did you want this to fail so you can be like, see?
I was like, why did I just hear about this?
Like,
That's insane.
I'm like, no, I know. I just heard about it too. Like, oh, there's a movie out?
I was right now years old when I found this out. The day the Earth blew up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like a few weeks. I was like, why are they not promoting this? It's like their baby.
Someone was seen protesting outside of the WB lot in a Wile E. Coyote costume, like, to release me, basically.
That's what I mean. Sometimes there was a part of me that was going like, did you intentionally not promote this just so you could be like, see, that's why we did it?
Right.
Because look, it fails. No one cares.
It's so weird. But to get back to the topic at hand, yeah, I think there's a lot of hype for Superman. I think that it's not only is it really hyped, but I feel like there's a lot of love put behind the movie as well. And the marketing is indicative of that as well. I don't think we've ever seen a DC movie marketed the same way that this movie is being marketed. Also, put James Gunn in the face of those marketings is also very interesting. Like, did you see the one with Shaq, David Cornsweet, and James Gunn all in the same thing advertising Superman?
Why is Shaq in there?
Exactly. I don't know. I think it was like a combination. It was like a hybrid with the NBA to get people of that audience.
Because he played Steel.
Because he played Steel. There we go. Yeah, that's probably the connection there.
Yeah, because Steel is it's a cult classic.
Everybody loves Steel. Everybody knows Steel. Totally have seen that movie. But I think that is something that's really we have to take into consideration, the fact that they're advertising this in a different way. Also, crypto was being advertised at the Puppy Bowl during the Super Bowl. So I feel like they're getting this larger love from these different areas that DC has not normally been associated with within the past 10 years because they've largely marketed themselves as something extremely serious. And this is taking a different approach to be something that's more fun, that is more hopeful, that is more just classic superhero. And I think that's something that's really going to do DC well in the long run. But we're at an unprecedented point in history with the comic book genre in general, with that being such a thing that we're putting a lot of stock in to hold the hope of the future of the DC universe, but also Fantastic Four at the same time. Because if Fantastic Four fails, Marvel's really riding on that. Because Kevin Feige last year was like, I know that there's Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts coming out, but the thing I'm excited for is Fantastic Four. I'm like, damn, I guess like screw those other movies because we're like 3-4 properties ahead and you're talking about that one. And clearly from the trailer and then obviously what they've done at Comic-Con, there's a lot of love there. But there was a lot riding on those things because both of those things seem like they're going to be the flagship for those individual companies going forward. So I think that, yeah, they're coming out within a month of each other, within a few weeks of each other. So I think that's something interesting to take a look at. And I'm like, I don't think anyone's really talking about that. Or maybe they are. I'm just not paying attention. But yeah, I think that's something that has me curious to see which one's going to be more financially profitable and which one's going to be, I guess, just a better movie.
I think it feeds each other. We were talking about the thing of, well, I'm not going to go into it now, but we were talking about the thing of infinite game and finite game. And I'm like, they're both in infinite game territory. So I think one helps the other. I think they both... That's what I love. This is the drama that I love because to me, I'm like, this is compelling movie news drama to me of everything is riding on Superman for the fate of WB, but also the comic book genre world as well. Like what I think would happen, worst case, is comic book genre would probably die down for a while if these like failed, I think it would die down, but I don't feel like it's, dusted. I don't think it's permanent. I think eventually it would come back. The way how a Superman movie eventually comes back, the way a Batman movie eventually comes back. Eventually it would come back. But that's why I love it, because of how much is riding on this. And just think about that narrative when the movie does come out and it succeeds, of like how much Superman, and the fact that it's Superman, the symbol of hope, and all the hope is being placed on the character who is the symbol of hope.
Yeah.
Saving the comic book industry. Superman was the first big like IP adaptation in cinematic history for comic books, right? With Christopher Reeve. I don't know the impact of the show with George, but it's Christopher Reeve, right?
Yeah.
So the full circle momentum of this, I love that narrative of like hearing like, oh man, here's everything that's at stake, or what Superman is, and it does it, and it helps save part of the industry, part of of this one genre. I think that's really cool. This is the kind of drama that I love. So I really hope that it actually does succeed, because I love the idea that the character that symbolizes hope delivered on it.
Yeah, it's poetic in that way. Yeah, because he is the thing that we're riding on, the thing to strive for, and hopefully the outside success and the feeling the movie leaves you with is both that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious, and I'm excited to see how that all comes to fruition. And it's also just outside of that, just the fact that it's James Gunn doing it.
Sure.
And it's so crazy to think about. Like, have you seen the movie Super?
A long time, like around the time it came out.
Oh, it's so good. I just watched it recently for over the holidays.
You know, we have a reaction channel. And
I've seen it in the past, but I forgot. But I forgot about it. Yeah, but I think that'd be a great reaction for people to do going on to Superman. But I totally could have reacted to that. It's a little edgy, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a fun one. It's definitely a fun movie.
I remember one moment only because Roger Ebert spoiled something without spoiling it. Because one of the things is like this close up on this one person with their head blown. I'm trying not to say it. And then I was like, 20 minutes in the movie, I'm like, well, he was obviously talking about this character then. And I put it together. And that's the only thing I remember about the movie. I don't remember anything about it.
That'd be a great rewatch, especially.
That's a little bit more of the darker James Gunn movie, right? That's a darker film.
Yeah, but it's interesting that his first.
John loves that movie.
Do you really?
It's definitely on his more trauma side of the sensibility. Actually, I have a life memory tied to that movie. But yeah, I liked it a lot at the time. It's been years since I've seen it, and I would love to watch it again. Reaction channel. But even on my own time.
Yeah, man. But I think it's watching that movie got me thinking, like, wow, he made that movie, I want to say in 2010. And he wrote that in the early 2000s, back when he was still married to Jenna Fisher of The Office. And then finally was able to make it. Funny enough, it was actually supposed to be John C. Reilly originally playing the role before it was Rainn Wilson. But watching that movie, that was his first soiree into the superhero genre, right? This small independent film that became a cult classic. And then his next movie after that, movie 43, we don't talk about that, was then Guardians of the Galaxy, which was essentially a big budget indie movie because mainstream people didn't really know who Guardians of the Galaxy were, right? And then that became a big success. And then he came into DC, took the Suicide Squad, a failed property, and then prior to that, not as like lesser known, but still like not mainstream, and then make that a big success. And now Superman, the ultimate test of the granddaddy of superheroes, he is put not only as the writer and director, but the head of the studio to cement his legacy as a superhero filmmaker, to be in this ultimate position. So like from Super to Superman, I think that's just a crazy trajectory and like an interesting journey of his trials and tribulations to make it to like the pinnacle.
Yeah, that's no, you're 100% right. And it is like I know a lot of people are very anti James Gunn because of the internet.
The internet.
I love what James Gunn does, and like there's that part where you're like, I hope this works out for him.
Yeah, man.
Because DC struggles. DC's had such a hard time as well. So much is riding on this, and I can't imagine being in his position where he has to be a creative and just be like, I got to put all this noise out because I am not only working on this really important movie, but I'm also having to produce and oversee a lot of other movies and shows right now. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I feel like I like this drama because I like that people pay attention, and I love that in the future we can say like they did it, and that helps create impact.
Definitely.
And impact is what I feel like movies could do. So this is the movie news narrative side that I'm really excited about. But anyway, that's it for today, guys.
Oh.
We're done.
We did it.
We're done. We talked a lot longer than we planned on doing, which is a good thing. That's a good sign. That means you did good today, Coy. Black Coy.
Black Coy. Hashtag Black Coy. Get your Black Coy t-shirts.
Just a lonely Black Coy living in this world.
I have one correction for you at the tail end here. Mickey 17 pulled in $53 million for its opening weekend globally, but it needs to make like $250 to $300 million to really start profiting. So
Okay.
I don't think it's going to do that.
I hope it does. I'm rooting for
buy your
Robert
DVDs,
Pattinson.
kids.
I'm rooting for Warner Brothers to have financial success. They have F1 coming out, and I think that'll be a huge for them.
Hopefully.
It's Top Gun on the streets.
Let's make Barbie 2.
They are.
Are they really?
Why wouldn't they? It's Barbie.
Because
Possibilities are endless. like do whatever.
is
you
Greta
want.
Gerwig coming back for that?
They should just like undo it a little bit. I think they should do a sequel that is an insult to the people who love the first one.
Yeah, this would be the antithesis of everything they tried to
They should make it a
establish.
musical.
Barbie
Yes.
fully a Ken.
Yeah.
Folly again.
I really didn't like that movie. That was one movie that the more I thought about it, the less I enjoyed it. Like
I like it
just
in theory.
Never grew on me. It's not the same way too. I'm like, yeah, like I watched like a good think piece on it the other day of I'm like, it did start a conversation, but I don't feel like it started a conversation for the right reasons, honestly.
If it wasn't a musical and they committed to the courtroom stuff, I think it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, that's for another time.
Yeah.
When Joker 3 comes out.
Yep.
All right, guys. Did you check out Lady Gaga's new album? It's pretty good. I liked it a lot. What'd you guys think of Aaron being here? Leave your thoughts down below. All right. Yeah, there's no real ending or beginning to these.
It's your moment of suspense.
Thanks,
Live 'em
Aaron.
down.
Bye, guys. Thanks, John, for being John.